Hi, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you all to talk today with Verizon Media's Yvonne Markman. Yvonne, how are you today?
Good. Hi, Kimeko. How are you?
I am doing well. I am so excited to talk to you about how Verizon is betting big on digital out of home, especially with the pandemic, how everything has changed from moving to remote work to working across the country to getting a bunch of different things that are flipped upside down on its head as we work into a new digital space. So I'm excited to be here with you guys. And I'd love to go ahead and jump right into it and start asking some questions if that works for you.
Sounds good.
Perfect. So to kind of get started, I kind of want to dive right in. Verizon Media has taken a leadership role in digital out-of-home media and digital out-of-home advertising. Talk to me a little bit about your strategy and your approach when it comes to that.
Yes, thank you. And look, we always start with a people first approach. And when you think about that, it really starts with connecting consumers where they are and with trusted experiences at the right time in the right place. So when you think about digital out of home, this is just an incredible opportunity to do just that and help consumers and brands and the publishers that have that inventory connect in an omni-channel approach. As we think about what we have been doing along those lines and keeping that in mind, we have been expanding our coverage and formats through our partnerships with companies like Place Exchange, Vistar, and Broadsign to make it possible to really reach consumers at every point of the digital journey, as well as some really exciting exclusive partnerships that we have, such as Cooler Screens and Shark Experience. Having access to this supply really helps us be the only omni-channel demand-side platform that can buy programmatically this digital out-of-home inventory all across all supply in the US. That's 100% of the US digital out-of-home inventory. And once again, taking that people-first approach, this allows us to connect brands and consumers in relevant, meaningful ways where they are in the moment. I mentioned Cooler Screens as an example of that, and this is one that we're particularly excited about, complementing this supply and really enabling brands to connect with consumers in unique ways. Cooler Screens has highly targeted experiences in retail locations via connected cooler doors. This is like a giant iPad. It's super, super exciting. It's a rich experience. And once again, consumers, when you think about behavior changes and so on, while some of the outdoor traffic decline, people are still largely doing their groceries and they're in the moment. And then Shark Experience, we have screens in golf carts. As people begin getting out more and so on and practicing that sport, that's a very unique experience for a very unique audience. So that would describe our strategy in a nutshell, which is really, start with people first and then connect that with how digital out of home is unique for people, and then do that in an omni-channel way so that as an advertiser, you can really connect the dots across all of the different areas that you're investing in to connect in relevant ways with those consumers.
Wow, absolutely. Now, just within that small bit of our conversation, we've already touched on so much. So I want to take that and dig a little bit deeper. Given that the pandemic put a lot of stay-at-home in orders for a lot of different people, we were in lockdown, having to stay home. So as you think about the year ahead, people are coming out of their homes. What are some of the biggest opportunities that you see?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, if we draw a timeline there, pre-pandemic, digital out of home was just exploding. During the pandemic, as I mentioned before, there was a slowdown in traffic and, some parts of the environment were not doing as well as others. Although I have to say that throughout all of last year on the programmatic side, we were seeing a lot of growth. And now as we think about today and into the future, digital out of home has evolved so much and it's creating so much opportunities, particularly as consumers begin to get more out and about. So there's a bunch of stats out there. We did in September, we ran an advertiser survey and there was an expected 50% increase in spend. As we think about the buyers that we were surveying, 90% of those buyers were saying that digital out of home is the right place to invest because consumers are there. And again, that just provides a sense for the momentum and for how some of the buyers are thinking about this as an opportunity. So when you think about it, I would say part of the question would be, and we refer to digital out of home as DOOH or DOOH, and it always begs the question from advertisers: how do advertisers do it right, or DOOH it right? And I think that as we talked to advertisers, one of the things that we heard is that more than half of them were finding it difficult to trade. And part of that was because of fragmentation. So lots of them were saying, hey, we want to make it easy. We want one place where we can do this and plan and buy. And, there was also a sense that, hey, we want to test and learn, and we want to do a lot of experimentation, but we really are interested in innovative ways, in exclusive inventory that can give us a bit of an edge as an advertiser. So I think that we have a very, very big opportunity to revert the trend that we saw last year and really capitalize on this momentum that is headed into consumers being out, increasingly more out and about. And, the way that we've looked at this and that we believe the industry moves forward is really bringing a common framework. So unifying the measurement, the planning, the buying, to really be able to connect digital out of home with other tactics, with other strategies, so that marketers can move from that friction to really understand the whole landscape and really connecting with consumers across the board. And what that does, when you think about it, it makes the whole process a lot more effective and also a lot more efficient. So let me give you a quick example. There's Bud Light. I think you know the brand, and with their consumer base being always connected and on the go, they were looking for innovative ways to promote their brand and really connect them once again in this omni-channel fashion. So they ran an omni-channel campaign that included digital out-of-home video ads in gas stations and convenience stores. They also combined this with using emerging channel formats such as connected TV and audio, all of these through our demand-side platform, as well as native and display and high impact ad formats. So when you think about it, they were really putting digital out of home within the context of an overarching campaign, and they had phenomenal results. They had a 2.4 times lift in their offline sales, the return on investment that they measure in offline sales versus our benchmarks. So that is just one end-to-end example of someone, a brand who understands their consumers, is trying to further connect with them in meaningful ways as they are on the go, and really using that omni-channel approach to deliver very meaningful results. And we see that across a host of other areas and a host of other categories. Typically, we're seeing a lot of the early adopters, if you will, being a little bit more on the consumer goods side, but we're really seeing, across the board, some of these brands leaning in and really thinking omni-channel and connecting the dots with digital out of home.
That's interesting and a really good snapshot of what we're seeing, like you mentioned early on. I do want to go back to the ideology of streamlining the process, which is something that you guys are taking the initiative of. One of the great challenges with DOOH or any other form of advertising can often be how to measure the true effectiveness of said campaign. So in your opinion, what should advertisers be thinking about to drive maximum efficiency and effectiveness with this medium?
Yeah, there's a big, likely obvious challenge that when you think about DOOH, it is a one-to-many ad solution in a world of a lot of one-to-one digital formats. So really, one of the most important pieces is how do we make it such that we can connect those two worlds, right? So at any point in time, a digital screen may be seen by multiple people. So for example, one of the things that the industry is doing and that we're participating in is that we use an impression multiplier. And this is something that the industry as a whole is adopting to better reflect that nature of how digital out of home is connecting with those users. But then this brings into a framework of measurement that connects it with that one-to-one framework. And again, there's a lot of data around consumers being out and about, and that aggregated data can be connected with one-to-one in multiple ways, including both identifiers that may be out there or advanced statistics, if you will, and machine learning to really do that. So one of the big pieces that we have been doing in terms of that measurement and framework is to really connect the dots so that you can look at this one-to-many format and leverage all of the data is available both for DOOH as well as for other media to connect it in ways where you can have common segmentation frameworks, planning frameworks, buying frameworks, and measurement frameworks. One example and call out that I wanted to highlight is with Place Exchange, for example. As we bring this in and connect it with supply, it gives us the inventory that provides that 100% view across the board. And with that, once again, we can link the full broad US and Canada reach and really understand how it connects with the behavior of audiences across the board. Again, not only on digital out of home, but relative to other digital channels and vice versa. I mentioned cooler screens before, and a big differentiator of cooler screens is that they are able to gather as part of the process points of sales data so that you're able to close the loop with attribution in terms of data that is very unique around what consumers are doing in the store. And we recently announced a partnership with Catalina that complements this and helps really bring all of that information in terms of what's happening inside the retailer locations and connect the dots with the broader set of activities outside of retailer locations. So this is very, very important for brands. It's also important for retailers as they evolve their strategies relative to Amazon, for example. So it's a very, very exciting space. And, you know, what this is also hopefully an important takeaway is you could generally think of out of home and digital out of home as an awareness builder, as a brand builder. But what's important as we collect and connect some of this data is that we can bring it all the way down the funnel to really attribution and transactions, which is something that before was not possible. And once again, something that makes it more relevant and attractive to the marketers that are participating in this.
Absolutely. We have covered a ton of ground within our conversation so far. So I want to continue talking a little bit about the future of DOOH and what it looks like. And I want to ask, what are you most excited about in this future?
Yeah, so what's really, really exciting about DOOH is, you know, maybe stating the obvious, you have all of the greatness of placements that are in other locations, other places where consumers are going out and about, and that it brings all of the benefits of digital media. And again, I was equating cooler screens to a giant iPad on a supermarket screen. So it's interactive, it's connected, and then it brings all of these characteristics. And you can see this across a number of out-of-home placements. So what's exciting to me is to see where this is going, right? So when you think about more dynamic and sophisticated targeting and personalization, we've been running dynamic creative optimization in out-of-home as an example. More dynamic creative possibilities. So we can do a lot more when it comes to XR and AR type overlays over time. Being a lot more dynamic and accessible when it comes to pricing and pricing options, And then a lot of innovation on creative on a number of dimensions as you have these amazing formats, right? And a lot of these have this massive scale or very relevant where you are and so on. So that is super, super exciting. Again, when you think about in-store, cooler screens is scaling very quickly as an example. And what we're seeing more broadly is that the supply, the quality and innovativeness of the supply for digital out of home and how it connects with other areas like connected TV and more traditional digital and richer formats like native and so on in mobile devices, that all of that is coming together better and better in simpler, more flexible ways. So again, it's easier, more practical, more effective, and more efficient for advertisers. It's a lot more practical and higher value for the companies that have that inventory, that have those formats. So that encourages them to invest even more in more innovation. And, and for consumers, it's better, more relevant experiences. So all in all, it's very exciting. And, this is something that, as I mentioned on the first question, we were very early on in terms of connecting this with our ad stack. And we're so excited about what this brings into the future.
Absolutely. It seems the digital out of home in the future of it, there's going to be a lot of space and opportunity for some innovation, creativity, and a new way of thinking when it comes to DOOH. We've got a couple of minutes left. And the last thing that I kind of want to ask as we wind down is what are some key takeaways in your opinion that we would like folks to leave with after this panel?
Yes. So first and foremost, this is an incredibly relevant medium. And as a medium, just as a standalone, it must be part of how, as a brand, you think about consumer engagement. And again, for different brands, it's going to be different, but we shared the Bud Light example. It's a medium that really delivers. The second part is that we truly believe that it needs to be an omni-channel focus. So as a brand, but also if you're an owner or publisher of some of this inventory and content, really work through ways that help connect the dots and look at this opportunity in this omni-channel fashion, connecting DOOH with audio and connected TV and traditional digital formats, rich formats like native and so on, really thinking about this in an omni-channel fashion. And for us, and what I believe to be also an important consideration for the industry, it's very, very important to connect the dots and to look at these opportunities through the lens of common frameworks. So similar measurement, similar targeting and segmentation, and factoring this into planning, in-flight campaign optimization, and then closing the loop with attribution, the results that come from that, and then connecting the dots and rinsing and repeating. So as consumers begin to go out and about, as vaccination progresses and the pandemic becomes less and less of a threat, and the economies open up, I think that this is going to be a tremendous opportunity. So to the extent that as a brand you haven't tested this yet or taken a comprehensive approach at really maximizing the value, I think that now is the time. I think that now is a call to action to leverage the power of the medium, to do it in an omni-channel way. And again, I'm a very, very big believer in how this benefits everyone in the equation. This is going to be good for advertisers. It's going to be good for publishers and owners of that inventory. And it's going to be really good and meaningful to consumers, better experiences, more relevant, more meaningful. So again, I think that there's a bright future, and once again, very excited to be a part of and continue to innovate in the space together with our customers across the board.
Absolutely. As we wrap up, I want to thank you one more time for chatting with me today. Again, folks, this is Yvonne Markman from Verizon Media, betting big on DOOH and what's next. Thanks again. I'm Kimeko McCoy. So much for joining us, and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Thanks so much, Kimeko.